Do not visit Puerto Rico until you hear the 6 tips that I have to tell you so you can make the most of your vacation. Kevin and I just got back from an incredible 9-day vacation on Puerto Rico. On our trip, we learned a few things that I'm gonna pass on to you to make it your best vacation ever. Number 1, hurricane season is a thing, guys. Watch out for it. So hurricane season in the Caribbean is from June to November. And even though Puerto Rico is a tropical destination, you can expect some tropical showers from time to time. Hurricane season is no joke, guys. We have actually been caught in a hurricane before. Not only will it lead to cancellations and messing up your whole vacation, but it can also be really dangerous. So you're gonna wanna be really careful and buy really good travel insurance if you plan on traveling during this time. It might be a little bit cheaper to travel during the hurricane season, but you really wanna be on top of it when checking the weather and make sure you know those cancellation policies inside and out. Number 2, Puerto Rico is more than San Juan, everyone. San Juan is the biggest town. It's the capital. It is amazing. I highly recommend visiting San Juan and the historic old San Juan. That is fantastic for a couple of days, but honestly, it's a very small area. And if you have a longer trip, I highly recommend you explore more of Puerto Rico. The island itself is actually really huge. And there are a couple other islands that you can visit as well. As you might have seen in our travel vlogs, we visited a small island called Culebra, which has what is considered to be Puerto Rico's best beach. There are other islands you can fly to or take a ferry to, or there's Puerto Rico's west coast, which I had no idea about, but it is an absolute hidden gem. I don't know why more people don't talk about this. The west coast of Puerto Rico is absolutely stunning. It's super laid back. Tourists haven't found it yet. If you love surfing, this is going to be the spot for you. Or if you just want to chill and be on the beach and drink pina coladas, like this is the spot for you. Definitely don't sleep on the west coast. Tip number 3. Fly instead of taking the ferry. Coming back around to those little islands I was talking about earlier, such as Culebra or Vieques, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, you have the option of, like I said, flying or taking the ferry. Flying is definitely going to be your more expensive option, but you can fly right from San Juan, and it only takes about a half hour. If you take the ferry, you have to get down to the east coast of Puerto Rico, and then the ferry itself takes a couple more hours to get to these islands. That's gonna take up a full day of your vacation, so it's really, really worth it to spend a little bit of extra money just for the convenience of flying so you can get back that beach time. Beach time is at a premium, guys. You don't wanna waste it on a bumpy ferry that I've heard is a nightmare. If you have seasickness, definitely don't take the ferry. It can be really rough. Tip number 4, Puerto Rico is part of the US and no passport is required. So Puerto Rico is a great entry-level Caribbean island. You don't have to worry about immigration or customs. You don't have to have a passport or take your passport. They take the US dollar, so no exchange rate necessary. And the drinking age is actually 18, so that's a little bit different. If you're not 21 in the US, you can head down to Puerto Rico and get a couple of those pina coladas. However, the downside of it being part of the US is the tipping culture is crazy. You can expect to tip in restaurants, 15% is good, 20% is probably more standard, and then anything up from that for good service. Tip number 5, don't drive in Old San Juan. I highly recommend renting a car and exploring Puerto Rico, but if you plan on visiting San Juan, skip the car for those days. The streets were not made for cars. They are ridiculously narrow. There's traffic, there's one-way streets, parking is an absolute nightmare and it's expensive. And Old San Juan is very compact, so it's extremely walkable. You really don't need a car. Instead, opt to take an Uber into the center of the city. It costs about $10 one way from the airport, and then once you're done with Old San Juan, if you want to explore more outside the city, feel free to rent a car. Driving is really easy. It's just like in the US. And our last and most confusing tip, tip number 6, know your measurement system. So you're going to be using metric and imperial on Puerto Rico. Even though it's part of the US, I'm not sure why they do this. Distances are going to be measured in kilometers, but your car speedometer is going to be in miles per hour. You're going to want to know kind of the conversion rate, or else you're going to be going really fast, or is it really slow? I don't know, but they use both, so you're going to kind of want to have a good idea of what a kilometer is to a mile and vice versa. If you're doing more research, check out the vlogs that we made. They're full-length vlogs on everything we did on our amazing trip. We will link them in the description and up here somewhere. And if you have any questions, make sure you drop them in the comments. Thanks for watching. This is Kelly from The Awkward Tourists. Peace out.